My name is Kathy Steffen for Access Hollywood, and I am so excited to be joined today by Rebecca from 90 Day Fiancé. How are you doing?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Now, Rebecca, your Zoom background is actually the perfect segue into my first question because I couldn't not ask you about all of the merchandise that you have with Zied's face on it or with you guys together. And I just wanted to know what inspired you to kind of just put these little tokens of your love all over items around your house or your shirts and things like that.
So the first thing that was ever introduced into the relationship was actually from Zied. He had sent me the first package he ever sent me was this amazing thing full of like candy and letters and a stuffed animal, and the infamous coffee mug with our pictures on it and the little heart handle on it and all of that. So it kind of started from there. When you're in a relationship and you see the person every single day and it's normal and it's not long distance, you're with them. And so it would be super weird, I think, to have their picture everywhere and have maybe not pictures, but like your pillow or your blanket or your debit card or whatever. But when you're in a long distance relationship, I don't know, I thought that it was completely normal, but apparently I was incorrect on that. But yeah, so I know that at one point I had an opportunity to personalize my debit card. And so of course I put his picture on there, and then it just snowballed. It snowballed. Was joking around and took one of his photos that he had sent me, his selfies, and he was wearing the black shirt. And I put my face on his shirt as a joke. And like I said, I'm going to make a shirt and send this to you. And he had it made, and that's the shirt you see. So it just kind of snowballed from there. It's been funny.
Now, you mentioned a little bit, seeing what the reaction has been from fans to things like that. Do you look at social media and see the tweets, or do you Google yourself? How do you cope with having your relationship in the public eye in this way and seeing strangers have opinions about your relationship?
You know what? I think I have a very healthy respect for it. And I did seek therapy at one point to make sure that I was okay. Like, am I okay? Or am I going to just am I just going to fall apart one day and go crazy? I said, I don't understand why I'm taking this so well. But he and I, in the very beginning, when we discussed doing the show, we were like, okay, you know what? It is going to get rough. People are going to be discussing us and having opinions about us. And, there's going to be a lot that's going to challenge us. I said, I think that we need to understand that despite the fact that it is real and everything that's on the show is real and it's really our relationship, we look at it like it's another character. Like there are everything that's going on, it's not us. It's something different. And so, and it's, of course, it's meant for entertainment. And so when you have some Karen somewhere in Illinois who goes online and says that, I'm ridiculous and, I have no self-esteem and you need to be doing, more volunteer work and stop spending all your time and all this other stuff, all the negative things that you hear. I just figure, you know what? She had a really bad day. And if she can go online and say something bad and for whatever reason it makes her feel better, it doesn't hurt me at all, because whatever Karen in Illinois thinks of me has zero effect on my life. It really doesn't affect me one way or another. And I just don't let it bother me. I've been very fortunate to not let it bother me.
Well, that's good that it sounds like you have a healthy relationship with social media at this point. Mm-hmm. I do have to say, one thing that I felt like you got heat for last season was your ring light. And I think you have come out on top at this point, because now we all have. I'm using one right now. So I think you were just ahead of the game.
Yep. I was cool before anybody else knew it. That's all there is to it. Yeah. Yeah, that's been the funniest thing is I'll get 10 negative comments about the fact that I think I have to use a ring light, but then 2 or 3 of those people will also DM me and ask me where I got my ring light. And I'm like, oh, if I was a bad person, I would totally tell on you. So
well, speaking of, how we're all getting ring lights, we're all adjusting to this. How has quarantine and this past year of craziness, how has that affected the K1 visa process? And I know that you can't give any spoilers. I know that, don't worry. But how did that play into what's already a difficult process for anyone?
So I will tell you that as far as COVID and quarantine and the K1 visa for Zied and I, throughout that process, we got in under the skin of by the skin of our teeth. We, when, of course we knew nothing about it initially. And then we had set up an interview date for his visa. And then out of the blue, we got a message from the embassy that his interview had been moved up a week. We didn't know why that was. We still don't know why that was. But if that had not happened, he would probably still have, been in Tunisia. He wouldn't have been able to come over when he did. So, and that's not a spoiler because it did come out on the show, by the way. But so I think it was 2 or 3 days after he got here that everything locked down. So we got very, very, very fortunate. We were probably one of the last visas to be approved for him to come over for travel before the quarantine hit.
Wow. And that has to have added, it's already, I feel like when we see this show, we see how difficult it is for the people coming to the US already adjusting. And add on top of that being in this weird limbo, that has to have made things hard for him.
Well, being that I'm a restaurant manager and my job is essential, I have not quarantined. I would have given anything to quarantine, but I did not get to. So his first experiences here in America were unfortunately just sitting at home, and I was working ridiculous hours. So it wasn't good. If I had literally been in any other field of work other than medical, I would have gotten to quarantine with him, and that might have been okay, but no such luck.
I'm sorry. I mean, God, this year just threw everyone for a loop, and I just can't. This process is just already so complicated, and it's just, I'm sorry to hear that. Now, one other thing that we've seen in the previews for the rest of the season is this conflict, because I know that Zied wants to get married before Ramadan, and that's a little bit of a conflict with what you had in mind. Can you tell us anything about this conflict, obviously without giving away too much?
Yeah, I mean, I will just say, I think it goes pretty clearly with my history with my ex. And one of the caveats that I had set with my daughter, my youngest daughter, Tiffany, that you meet on the show, is that, look, I understand I've done this before. I understand there are so many similarities, but I promise you, I'm going to give it the full 90 days. And once you meet him and you're able to spend some time with him before we, get married, you're going to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing, and that he's not my ex, and it's going to be fine. Don't worry. And then he puts that ultimatum in front of me, which kind of negates everything, the whole process, every single thing. Like, if that were the case, then I should have just stayed in Tunisia and married him there and, upset my family. So that's where the problem is with that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Well, I'm excited to see kind of how things are going to play out. I know you can't tell us everything, but I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today. And I'm really excited to see the rest of your story this season.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to speak with you.